who's having a fine professional career in the 200. Favorite Ophelia has the meet record, and the collegiate leader is Jamisha Ford of South Carolina. She is in the field. So it's the heat winners, and then the next 5 on time should be the next 4 on time, I would think. If there's 5 heat, 9 lanes, it would be the next 4 on time.
That math makes too much sense.
Yeah, and there is Amber Anning of Great Britain, the senior at Arkansas, and she will be out on the outside in lane 8.
Well, noticeably absent from the World Relays in the Bahamas last weekend. She did not run on the 4x4 relay team, but Great Britain got through. Team GB will be in Paris running that 4x4, and you can bet Amber Anning will be on that 4x400 meter relay team, but probably just too much of a trip for her to make and then come back here to the SECs, although Christopher Morales Williams from Georgia, he managed to do it for Team Canada. But Amber Anning, she's had a very light spring. We saw her run a lot indoors, a very successful indoor season, NCAA champion at 400 meters. But here outdoors, she's run on just, she ran at the Texas Relays and then one other meet. So this is only her 3rd meet of the season. There you see Jayla Hollis, the senior from Florida. And she came over from, she transferred, from, I don't even know where she transferred from.
It's not in my notes. You're on your own.
No, but she came over to Florida, and
Arkansas.
she's Arkansas. It's just there's so many. Okay, from Arkansas. I'm trying to picture her in another uniform, and I just really couldn't. But she gave Florida at least some sprinting depth since Talitha Diggs left. She's a sprinter. She does 1-2. She does 1-2 up to 400 meters. When Florida, gives Florida a little bit more opportunity to score some points outside of some of the events that we know they're absolutely going to score some points in.
And Dan, you mentioned Talitha Diggs. We saw her walking around among the post-collegians still training here in Gainesville. We might see if we can get her up here to the booth. You know, she would certainly, I'm sure, be game for that and contributing, talking about not only her Gators competing here, but also the big summer that she has ahead.
There's so much transferring inside the conference anymore. It's hard to keep up with who is where and where they came from. That's for certain. Those are the lane assignments. 6 sprinters in this first of 5 heats.
On your mark.
With Amber Anning, the Arkansas senior, on the outside. She was the NCAA and conference indoor champion 400 meters and currently 8th in qualifying for the NCAA. We keep mentioning that because they take the top 24 overall times.
Set.
Anning running right into your lap, and right outside her, Tima Godbless of LSU, the freshman from Nigeria, right there with Anning. And on the inside, that is Thelma Davies of LSU. And it is Davies right now in the lead. Anning digging hard near the end, but Davies outleans her. Davies with the victory, and Anning a close second into a slight headwind, 0.5 meters per second.
What we didn't mention, Thelma Davies setting up this race, but she's somebody who we needed to keep an eye on there on the inside. 24 years old, a senior. She has run extremely quick this season, 22:39. She comes in as the number 4 seed in the conference, but there you see her blazing away on the inside. Amber Anning in her really kind of just smooth style there on the outside. She made up ground after losing a little bit of ground to Godbless, but Thelma Davies with a nice start here to the SEC championships, her final conference championships, and she's into the finals.
That 22:60 for Davies, the number 5 wind legal time in the NCAAs this year. And I couldn't help but notice with Amber Anning, aside from it doesn't look like she's moving when she's moving, that she's really a 400 meter specialist, and she doesn't have that turnover that you might expect to see from a 200 meter runner, but she's obviously contributing to her team, and a little speed break doesn't hurt either. 22:66 is pretty much guaranteed to get through on time for Amber Anning, but a fine run by Thelma Davies as we move along to heat number 2 of 5. And this heat featuring on the outside, Brianna Liston of LSU. She hails from Jamaica, on the Bowerman watch list with a number 3 NCAA qualifying time so far this year.
Well, we didn't see a lot of her last year. Coach Shaver held her back just a little bit, didn't want to ding her up too much. Overtraining got her injured. But this year, as a sophomore, we've seen her run quite a bit. She comes in here with a number 3 200-meter time in the conference, number 2 in the 100 meters. So it'll be fun to turn around and see her run, but just 19 years of age. And there's another youngster, Kayla Jackson from Georgia. All she does is make finals. She entered the NCAA or the SEC Indoor Championships, not running great times, but she stepped up, made the finals in both, turned around to the NCAA Championships and made the finals in both the 60 and the 200 meters. But talking to Coach Carroll, she says all this girl does is just step up when the lights are the brightest.
Failed to mention that Liston on the outside from LSU was the NCAA Indoor 60-meter champion up in Boston. We brought that event to you. There are the lane assignments. 6 sprinters in this second heat. Reminding you, just the heat winner advancing, and then the next 4 spots will be taken by the people with the fastest non-winning times. Wind has been switching from headwind to tailwind, so it's just a matter of almost luck when you happen to run your race that you maybe get a tailwind instead of a headwind, which affects everybody but the heat winner. So Liston on your left as they ask him to stand up. And there you see Kayla Jackson in the all black of Georgia, 3rd from the left, with some kinesio tape on that left hamstring.
I think I could have had another Olympic cycle in me, Dwight, if kinesio tape would have existed back when I competed.
I know what you're saying. I'm telling you.
It seems to be the cure-all.
That's Joanne Reed on the inside, the tall figure in lane number 7, the junior from Jamaica. More of a 400-meter runner, but Arkansas needs points. Plus, it's not bad speed work.
Set.
Liston out well out in there in lane number 8. And Kayla Jackson in hot pursuit. Joella Lloyd of Tennessee trying to get in the mix, but it is Liston on the left with Jackson right there in pursuit. Liston is going to hold off Jackson at the line. And I was surprised to see Jackson kind of shut it down a little early. It is going to be a time qualifier that you're going for there. 22:31 into a 1 meter per second headwind, so just over 2¼ miles an hour or so. You'll feel that running into it on that backstretch. That's a personal best for Liston.
Well, Brianna Liston is a great starter in the 100 meters and the 60, and here she gets out to a really quick start on the outside. No drag whatsoever when you're in one of those outside lanes on an outdoor track. She hits the home straight and just stands up nice and tall and relaxes all the way to the finish. There you see Kayla Jackson motoring as well, but this is an outstanding run for her. She went 22:53 earlier this season, and she dips under that, 22:31 into a headwind. These times have been incredible here in the 200 meters.
Number 2 wind legal time amongst the collegians this year. Number 5 time in the world so far. I mean, it's still early outdoor season, but it's not the first part of the outdoor season. So a fine run by Liston in this preliminary into a headwind. 22:31. Kayla Jackson, who used her as a rabbit, gets up for second in 22:52. That is sure to qualify through. The bubble currently 23:19.
Well, I want to know, how am I going to be able to watch the Jamaican Olympic trials, because those things are going to be hot. You think about all the female sprinters that Jamaica has now. Who's going to be on that Paris Olympic team? Who's going to be on that relay?
Yeah, their trials in the sprints are all as good as ours. All right, heat number 3. Take a look down on the inside in lane number 3. The Ole Miss senior, Mackenzie Long. She was the runner-up in the 200 meters earlier this indoor season, but she is the defending champion in this 200-meter event.
Well, I think something that gets lost with Julie and Alfred last year at the NCAA championships, we saw her win both the 100 and the 200 meters, but we forget that Mackenzie Long was the runner-up in the 200 meters. She absolutely owned this event outdoors last year. And she doesn't come in here with the fastest time, but she continues to run outstanding 200-meter times. I think the 200 meters will be her choice to run at the Olympic trials. There you see Rosie Effiong, again, a host of 400-meter runners from Arkansas stepping down to run the 200. They did this indoors as well. They scored a ton of points, but the speed work also contributed and helped them run quicker 400 meters.
So bookends, Mackenzie Long down in 3, Rosie Effiong out in 8. Only one can win the heat and automatically qualify through to Saturday's final. There are the lane assignments. The bubble is 23:19. If you don't win the heat, you need to run faster than that to advance.
On your mark.
There is Effiong on the left side of the screen, and then way down on the right, the defending champion, Mackenzie Long.
Set.
And Effiong out well. Brianna White of Tennessee also moving. And here comes the defending champion Long on the inside. It is Long running away with it. Mackenzie Long showing why she is the defending champion. 22:37. She had a .6 aiding wind, a little over a mile per hour at her back. And that's very close to her lifetime best of 22:31, and you can tell she's pleased with that performance.
Set.
Well, in the 200 or 400, you'd love to be where you can see your other competitors, and Mackenzie Long on the inside, and she's not all the way tucked in there to lane 1. She's in lane 3, but you get to see everybody else, and she goes flying by them. And we expected Rosie Effiong to be there on the outside, but the second place was an Arkansas runner, and that was the Keisha Price. She had a good run as well, just to the outside of Mackenzie Long.
That's a wind legal season best for Long and the number 8 time in the world this year. Keisha Price at 22:75. We'll have to take a look and see what happens with the bubble with 2 heats remaining, but that could be very close to a bubble time by the time we get all 6 heats in. It's down to 22:83. Brianna White of Tennessee, 3rd in that heat. She is the bubble with 2 heats remaining. And downstairs to Fernando.
Well, Dwight, I'm just telling Mackenzie the news. You're the number 8 ranked 200-meter runner in the world after that heat.
Yeah, I'm just blessed to be here.
Okay, walk us through that race. You ran it pretty fast, by the way. But walk us through that race. How's the win affecting you girls?
Honestly, I just came in today and just execute. Save up for the final day, of course. So I try not to exert all my energy. I'm definitely looking forward to Saturday. So that's the goal.
We're not going to take any more energy from you, Mackenzie. Congratulations. Back to you, Dwight.
All right, Fernando, ready now for heat number 4. And this heat featuring from South Carolina, the freshman Jamisha Ford. She was the NCAA indoor and SEC indoor 200-meter champ, just a freshman, the collegiate leader in 2024.
I talked to Tim Hall, Coach Tim Hall, earlier today, the new coach at South Carolina. I said, I think you won the recruiting lottery in 2023. A lot of people didn't have Jamisha Ford high on their recruiting list. You know, Shanti Jackson certainly was somebody everybody was looking at, but Jamisha Ford has performed the best of all those incoming freshmen, winning NCAA indoor title, and has run some phenomenal times. And she has such great range. She's on the NCAA list in the 100, 200, and the 400 meters. But here she'll go up against the 100-meter the number one 100-meter runner in the world right now. This is Jacia Sears from Tennessee. She's got lane 3. Jamisha Ford will be in lane 4. And again, Dwight, just grumbling from the coaches. No rhyme or reason how these lanes and heats were set up. We've got 2 of the fastest people in the same heat here in the qualifying round.
Yeah, it's when you only the heat winner advances automatically, that's really tough. You hate to see maybe somebody left out because there's a big old headwind that comes up, and second place ends up being a time not fast enough to get through. But that's kind of the luck of the draw, as they say. So it is Sears down there on the right of your screen, the number 1 sprinter, 100-meter sprinter in the world right now. And right next to her, Jamisha Ford, which is an advantage for Sears. .2283 is the bubble.
Set.
And Sears and Ford are pretty much stride for stride, both running an outstanding curve. Sears there on the inside, digging hard. Ford staying relaxed, and there Ford, she changes gears. And Sears does not have an answer. Ford wins the heat, 22:47 to Sears at 22:66. And they had a wind that was over the allowable, 2.1 meters per second for the victory. Jamisha Ford, she will advance automatically. 22:66 for Sears. She will certainly also advance. But that's the first over the allowable wind we've had all day.
Well, you see the superior 100-meter speed on the inside there in the white top. That's Jacia Sears. You see her take advantage on that turn, but then as they get to the straightaway, look at the relaxation in Jamisha Ford's pace versus the relaxation in Jacia Sears' pace. Ford, nothing changes down this stretch. There you see Jacia Sears beginning to tie up just a little bit. I know the instruction from Coach Dwayne Ross is going to be she's got to relax in the 200, but Jamisha Ford has done this all season long. And guys, I'll tell you what, she is an outstanding 200-meter runner. We see her run the 100, but she may run the 400 meters at the Olympic trials because she runs 50 flat in that race.
So Ford winning the heat at 22:47. Sears second, inching up very closely to the new bubble, which is 22:75 with 1 heat remaining. That was the only over the allowable wind we've had all day so far. So we'll see what happens with the people in lane 6. But right now, if I'm Jacia Sears, I'm a little bit nervous as we get ready for heat number 5. This is Jayla Jamison of South Carolina, the junior. She will start down in lane number 3, currently number 5 on the NCAA qualifying list.
Well, and honestly, Dwight, you talk about these different heats. Here we see Jayla Jamison. She has run 22:58 this season. She's number 5 seed coming into this heat. But this final heat certainly doesn't look like the other heats where you've got former conference champions, NCAA qualifiers. And so there you see Denisha Page on the outside, 22:61 for her. She ran that in at the Desert Heat Invitational at the University of Arizona last week. But it's interesting to see a couple of young ladies here in the 200 meters who didn't get their personal best here at the Tom Jones Invitational. So many of those fast times came, but here in the final heat, we're seeing those fast times come from some different places. But she's a transfer from Rutgers, and Dwayne Ross says she has just been a joy to work with, and she continues to get better each and every week.
So 5th and final heat. Bubble 22:75, wind switching from headwind to tailwind throughout these heats, with even an over the allowable tailwind in the last heat.
And we've seen a number of Lady Arkansas Razorbacks here, and here's another one out there in lane 8. This is a youngster, just a sophomore, Ariane Linton, 20 years of age, and you kind of wonder, well, what happens, who steps in when Amber Anning and Rosie Effion step away? It's individuals like Ariane.
Set.
5th and final heat of the women's 200-meter preliminaries, and Denisha Page of Tennessee running a great turn. She's already made up the stagger on Natasha Ballard of Alabama. Jayla Jamison making a late run to try and catch her, but it's Denisha Page that is going to win the heat. And more importantly, what is the time? 22:60. I got to think there was some wind involved there. Jayla Jamison at 22:88, too slow to qualify, 1.0, so about 2.25 miles per hour at her back. She is the only 200-meter runner who will advance out of this fifth and final heat, I should say.
Well, there you see Janisa Page on the right with the white top with the orange bottoms, and the one thing that Coach Dwayne Ross has been telling her all season long is engage, get in the battle early, get in the fight earlier. And there you see Denisha Page after all these weeks. She just steps out of the blocks and she puts her foot to the gas, and she got out in that first 100 meters. And when she did that, it made the second 100 that much easier for her. She didn't have to work as hard, but she had a clear lead from start to finish. Jayla Jamison with a nice run at the finish, but it won't be enough to get her through.
So Page, a personal best with 22.
எப்படி சவுண்ட் வந்துச்சு தண்ணியில் போட்டு போகிறேன் நீ தண்ணி தான் தண்ணி தான் தண்ணி அப்புறம் அந்த இடத்துல பார்த்து தெரியல என்ன நாங்கள் ஆல்ரெடி இது போட்டுருக்காங்க இது போட்டுருக்காங்க இது என்ன யார் இங்கே இது போட்டுருக்காங்க தண்ணிலாம் மழைக்கல ஏன் இது சவுண்ட்